But by starting to learn from them, I realized that a lot of the things the skincare industry is teaching us globally is wrong. Whatever you put on your skin, your body absorbs it through your skin. So therefore, if you're not going to eat it, why would you put on your skin? So I'm not going to take the credit for how I came up with Skin Gourmet. I'm always going to tell you that was all God's doing. And I'll explain what I mean by that. The idea of edible skincare is not my idea. It's Ghana's idea. It's a Ghanaian tradition. So, like I said, when I went to source these products from these local communities, I went there with, number one, I had to learn from them with all humility because I thought I knew so much. But by starting to learn from them, I realized that a lot of the things the skincare industry is teaching us globally is wrong because they're using single ingredients with absolutely nothing added for the skin and for cooking. And the concept is so simple. Whatever you put on your skin, your body absorbs it through your skin. So therefore, if you're not going to eat it, why would you put on your skin? And again, when I say, it's one of those things where there's a particular saying in Ghana, sankofa. It's something that I think Ghanaians, we have put behind for whatever reason, but it's actually what makes us the winners in this global industry. In the skincare industry, it's one of the most booming industries in the world, especially organic and natural skincare. And yet somehow Ghanaians are not able to compete in this market because they don't have certifications, like say organic certification or fair trade certification. But that's just simply because they cannot afford it. But otherwise, our skincare is usually made to be 100% safe with 1 or 2 ingredients, maximum 7. So again, I'm not going to take credit for edible skincare. Edible skincare is something that is a Ghanaian tradition and it's unique to Africa. So when it comes to selecting the ingredients, one thing at Skin Gourmet we really love is we love to impact communities. So when we go and we do our sourcing, if we find anything, any raw material that community can do with excellence and quality, we have to innovate a product out of it in order to create demand for that particular community so that we can boost economic growth in that area and also be able to create decent jobs. But one thing we realize is that nature smells amazing. Nature is just, okay. Even the perfumes and everything you have, it's all nature. It's just a matter of quality and how it is processed. When you keep it in its most natural state and you do not cause, for example, you don't add a lot of additives, you don't do too much processing, and you keep nature in its almost its finest state, it ends up smelling amazing. So a lot of people say our products smell like food, and that's because it is food. We keep it in its most natural state and try to do the most minimal processing possible. Also, when we're doing our formulas, we pray about it, okay? Like, I'm sorry, like we pray about it. We're just like, God, can you please help us? Because God is the ultimate creator, right? And everything he made. So we pray about it and then we come up with the formulations, but the formulations have to be worked, which means that we have to also get the consumer feedback. So at first you may think your formula is perfect, but as the customer uses it, they'll give you feedback like, oh, we don't like the smell of palm kernel, we don't like the smell of this, we don't like the smell of that. So that tells us that there is a way to make sure we improve the quality of that or maybe change the concentrations a little bit more so that the consumer is more willing to accept it. So when it comes to impacting the local communities, when I started Skin Gourmet, it was because when I came back from the different places I traveled to and gone to school, when I came back to Ghana, what hit me was the gap in income. And I really wanted to help, but how could I do that sustainably? When I started Skin Gourmet, I realized that, if I'm able to create jobs and I'm able to take Ghana's natural resources and then transform them to value-added, high-quality finished goods and export them, then we can boost economic growth and we can create decent jobs. But the main thing is that the most important people here are the communities. Because if you look at the skincare industry, when I say booming, I mean right now, this year, it's worth $11.4 billion. That's natural skincare alone. In 2030, it's expected to jump to $24.5 billion. And yet these local communities are getting less than 3% of the final retail price. So for us, it's very important that the main manufacturers of this product, the one who's supporting this industry, are getting a fair amount of the profit that we're all reaping from. And so that also means that they need to understand the value of what they have. And also we have to realize that their resources are limited. So for example, with Skin Gourmet, we help them to hedge. We hedge. So what essentially that means is that we give them the money ahead of time in the season so that they can manufacture it for us. That makes their lives much easier in terms of transport, and it gives them a much bigger piece of the pie. Also, we make sure that we work with them and communicate with them, and they tell us what they want to be paid for it. We also have to make sure that we train and educate them on the fact that this is their livelihood. Like, without the environment that they're working in, they will not be able to have a life that sustains them, because they don't have the skills and the training that most people would have, say in Accra or in the other parts of the world. So doing that, and as they're realizing the value of what they're holding, they're asking for more things, in the sense that, okay, now that we know that we have this, can we get training here? Can we get this there? And then we try to support it as much as possible. So let me give you an example of one of the shea butter communities we work with in Bunyayili. We actually got invited to go and source from them, from a really amazing lady called Yukari, and she has an NGO called My Dream. When we first went to Bunyayili, that was many years ago, the road was terrible. The clothing they were wearing, it was just, you could tell it was in the boondocks. But now you go to the same place, and because of people like Yukari and other people that work with the communities, not just us, they have water tanks, they built a hospital, the roads are much better, the clothes are much better, and you can see that their livelihood has improved. So they're now able to find money to pay their own children's school fees, they're able to feed themselves, they're able to provide health care for themselves. So I would say that's one good example. So when it comes to educating our customers about using natural organic skincare products, we gotta be careful. When I say gotta be careful, is because you don't also want to put down other brands. I think it's one thing to want to tell people what's good for them, but you don't want to do it in a way where you are putting down another brand that you don't completely understand. But I think for us, it's more of, we are really invested, and we actually really love our products. We actually really love the environment, and we are invested in the fact that you using skincare products that are not good for you, it's not just you. When you finish and you wash it off, it goes down your sink. And that means it affects marine life. If you don't finish the container and you throw it out in the dump, that affects also the landfill. Also, it affects children, babies, if you're not using things the right way. Yeah, so essentially, we're hoping that we change people's perspective, where it's not just about you being beautiful, but how in you being beautiful, you can beautify the rest of the world. So we're asking for our consumers, or hoping that we can change the consumer's mind, so that when they're buying or they're using the power of consumerism, they're thinking about the whole value chain and how that purchase could have impacted everybody along that whole value chain and the environment.